Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of emotional turbulence? Found yourself overwhelmed by a relationship or situation, unsure of how to maintain inner peace? In a world so connected, we often cling to people and situations that bring us more turmoil than tranquility. But what if I told you there's an ancient path to reclaim your calm? A method that helps you remain unshaken in the midst of life's inevitable storms. This method is rooted in Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided countless individuals toward emotional resilience, freedom, and wisdom. The Stoic way teaches us that detachment isn't about abandoning our emotions or avoiding difficult situations. Instead, it's about cultivating a serene mind, a state of clarity that allows us to respond to life with intention rather than reaction. Imagine a place within yourself where you can find peace, no matter how chaotic the world around you becomes. Detachment is about protecting that inner peace. And the best part? This detachment doesn't pull us away from life, but instead helps us engage with it more meaningfully. In this journey, we'll explore 7 Stoic-inspired strategies that can help you learn how to detach in a healthy and purposeful way. These steps are not about creating distance as an escape, but rather about gaining the clarity and strength needed to navigate relationships and situations with a clear mind. So, if you're ready to free yourself from the emotional weight that comes with attachment, let's begin. And remember, the most powerful insights are often revealed in the final steps of our journey together. Stick with us to discover them. 1. Focus on what you need. Distinguish needs from desires. In the pursuit of detachment, the first step is to clearly understand your true needs. What do you genuinely need to feel fulfilled, stable, and at peace? In the philosophy of Stoicism, there's a crucial distinction between what we need and what we merely desire. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, taught that happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. To detach effectively, we must focus our attention on what lies within our control and consider our needs above fleeting wants. Examine the difference between needs and desires. Needs, in the Stoic sense, are the essentials for a stable and virtuous life. They're not about material accumulation, but rather about fostering inner resilience, wisdom, and emotional well-being. Desires, however, often lead us down a path of dependency, where we feel incomplete without external validation or specific outcomes. Consider, how often have you felt compelled to hold on to a person or situation, fearing that without them, you'd lose a part of yourself? Stoicism encourages us to question these attachments and recognize whether they arise from true need or from an unexamined desire. What are your most persistent attachments? Are they based on genuine growth or simply on comfort? The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes not from clinging to what we cannot control, but from nurturing our capacity for virtue and self-sufficiency. Epictetus suggested a practice called voluntary discomfort, where we intentionally expose ourselves to situations that challenge our comfort, like taking a break from our usual indulgences or routines. This practice helps to train our minds to understand that our happiness is not tied to external factors. Identify your essential needs. So, what do you truly need to thrive? Begin by identifying the values and principles that give meaning to your life. Is it kindness, wisdom, resilience, or courage? When you know what you need to feel fulfilled, it becomes easier to let go of situations or relationships that don't contribute to that fulfillment. Reflect on the following. Is this person or situation enhancing your core values, or are they merely a source of comfort and routine? According to Stoicism, true freedom is found in self-mastery, This means learning to release our hold on external outcomes and people, focusing instead on nurturing our inner selves. Imagine standing before a vast buffet table filled with options. Stoicism teaches us to select the items that truly nourish us rather than everything that appears tempting. The freedom to choose means knowing when to refrain. Let go of dependencies. Dependency on people or situations often arises from a misplaced belief that our happiness lies outside ourselves. Stoic thought reminds us that we already possess all that we need to be content. Imagine that instead of searching outside yourself for happiness, you cultivate a wellspring of joy within. When you detach from unnecessary dependencies, you empower yourself to face life's challenges with calmness and strength. But how do we let go of dependencies without feeling lost or disconnected? Begin by asking yourself, if this person or situation were to change tomorrow, would I still be okay? Stoicism encourages us to focus on building the virtues within ourselves, traits like resilience, wisdom, and patience, so that no matter what happens externally, we remain grounded. Letting go doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means learning to trust your own inner stability. Embrace self-sufficiency as a source of strength. Self-sufficiency isn't about isolation, but about independence from the emotional highs and lows of attachment. When we cultivate self-sufficiency, we learn that our happiness is not at the mercy of external factors. Think of it like building a solid foundation. Even if life's storms shake the walls, the structure remains intact. As you reflect on your needs, ask yourself, am I building a life that stands resilient, or one that wavers with every shift in external conditions? By focusing on what truly nourishes your mind and soul, you create a life aligned with your principles. This alignment becomes a source of unshakable strength. Stoicism teaches us that when we recognize our true needs and let go of the rest, we find the freedom to experience life fully, without fear or dependency. Next, we'll delve into a step that might seem unusual in our connected world: taking a break from social media. This digital pause can reveal how much of our peace is influenced by others' lives rather than our own values. 2. Take a break from social media, reclaiming inner space. In an era where we're constantly connected, taking a step back from social media can be one of the most effective ways to detach. Social media often becomes a breeding ground for comparison, feeding a constant stream of images and ideas about what life should look like. But Stoicism reminds us that the true foundation of a good life lies within ourselves, not in external validations or comparisons. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned about distractions that divert our focus from what really matters. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. By taking a temporary break from social media, you create space to turn your attention inward. Why does social media complicate detachment? Every scroll, every like, every image creates a sense of attachment. We begin to compare our lives to others, feeling incomplete if we don't measure up. Social media fosters emotional turbulence by drawing us into a cycle of external validation, making it challenging to stay centered. Have you ever noticed how your mood shifts after spending time online? You may feel envy, frustration, or even loneliness, all emotions that pull us away from the Stoic goal of inner peace. If our minds are constantly focused on what others are doing, we lose sight of our own path. Stoicism calls us to question, am I living according to my principles, or am I simply reacting to the lives I see online? This question helps us understand where our true values lie and whether we are compromising them for the sake of fitting into a digital world. By stepping away from social media, even for a short while, You grant yourself a reprieve from these distractions and reconnect with what truly matters to you. Use this break to reconnect with real values. When we disconnect from the noise of social media, we allow space for introspection. Consider this break as a time to reflect on your values and priorities, free from the influence of outside opinions. Instead of scrolling, try focusing on practices that nourish your mind and spirit, like reading, journaling, or spending time in nature. Ask yourself, what activities make me feel genuinely at peace, unburdened by others' judgments? In Stoicism, the concept of apatheia, a state of serenity that arises when we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional reactions, guides us to focus on what truly matters. Imagine being able to experience life without the constant pressure to compare, to update, to perform. When we remove ourselves from the cycle of external validation, we're left with our own thoughts, choices, and actions. And from there, we can begin to build a life that aligns with our values rather than the expectations of others. Social media as a modern puzzle. Think of social media as a complex puzzle where each post, each comment, and each reaction is a piece trying to fit into your life. Sometimes, the puzzle becomes overwhelming, leaving us with a mental clutter that disrupts our tranquility. Stoicism suggests that it's wise to set this puzzle aside for a while, allowing our minds to return to a place of calm. Just like putting away a jigsaw puzzle that's causing frustration, stepping away from social media can restore peace to our lives. If you take this break from social media with the intention of reconnecting with your inner self, you'll begin to notice how much of your emotional state was influenced by external stimuli. You'll gain the clarity to decide how to engage in the future without letting it disturb your peace. This digital pause becomes a way to assert control over your emotional world, as Stoicism teaches. Next, we'll discuss another essential aspect of detachment, creating a quiet space for self-reflection. This practice allows us to observe our emotions with clarity, without the noise and influence of others. 3. Create a quiet space for self-reflection, finding peace amidst the noise. Detachment often requires us to create moments of solitude. Life can sometimes feel like a bustling city where everything demands our attention. Taking a break from the noise, whether it's people, media, or even our own thoughts, is essential for nurturing a clear mind. Stoicism, with its emphasis on inner peace, teaches that stepping away momentarily isn't avoidance. It's an intentional retreat to regain clarity. As Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can." Why step away? To see the whole picture clearly. When we're constantly immersed in a situation or around certain people, our emotions often cloud our vision. We might react impulsively, unable to see the broader picture. Have you ever felt overwhelmed in a situation, only to realize later that a simple break would have allowed you to approach it more calmly? Stoicism encourages us to step back, not to evade responsibility, but to create space for clear judgment. Picture yourself in a crowded, noisy room trying to read a complex book. It's nearly impossible to understand the text in that environment. Similarly, when life becomes loud, our ability to see things objectively diminishes. This is why Stoic thinkers suggest finding a quiet place, physically or mentally, to reflect on situations before reacting. It could be a walk in a park, a quiet room, or simply a few minutes of focused breathing. In these quiet moments, we can assess our emotions, values, and intentions without the interference of external chaos. Embrace solitude as a tool for self-understanding. Solitude, in Stoicism, is a way to cultivate a better understanding of ourselves. Seneca believed that by retreating into oneself, we gain a deeper insight into our character and needs. Think of it as meeting yourself in a quiet space, free from distractions, where you can observe your thoughts without judgment. Are your reactions aligned with your values? Is this situation bringing you closer to inner peace or pulling you further away from it? In solitude, we have the opportunity to examine our motivations, desires, and attachments. By stepping back from a person or situation, we create a mental space that allows us to decide consciously how to respond. When we remove the immediate emotional influence, we empower ourselves to make decisions grounded in wisdom and clarity. Imagine this practice like a reset button for the mind, helping us to restore calm and perspective. Finding your quiet space. Where is your quiet space? For some, it might be a place in nature, while for others, it might be a quiet corner at home or simply a few mindful breaths in the middle of a busy day. Stoicism doesn't dictate a specific setting for this practice. It's about finding what works for you. Choose a time and place where you feel most at ease and can fully disconnect from external pressures. When you step back into the situation, you'll notice that your reactions are more measured, grounded in a sense of inner strength. This quiet space becomes a sanctuary where you can return whenever life feels overwhelming. With this sense of calm, you'll approach situations from a place of peace, aligning your actions with your values. Up next, we'll explore the importance of setting limits on our emotions. By understanding our feelings without letting them dominate, we can approach life's challenges with balance and wisdom. 4. Establish limits for your emotions. The balance between feeling and control. Emotions are essential to our humanity, yet Stoicism teaches us that they should not dominate our lives or cloud our judgment. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus and Seneca, viewed emotions as natural but transient, like passing weather. While emotions like anger, fear, or sadness arise spontaneously, they believed we could learn to manage these feelings without being overwhelmed. This isn't about suppressing or avoiding emotions, but about setting healthy boundaries, allowing yourself to feel without losing control. When we establish limits for our emotional reactions, we create a foundation of inner calm that allows us to face life with clarity and resilience. Recognize emotions as temporary states. One of the first steps in managing emotions is to recognize their impermanent nature. Stoicism encourages us to view our feelings like clouds moving across the sky. They appear, linger briefly, and then naturally dissipate. However, when we let our emotions govern our actions, we often make impulsive decisions that conflict with our long-term goals and values. Ask yourself, have you ever made a choice in the heat of a moment only to regret it later? Stoic wisdom reminds us that by observing our emotions without immediately acting on them, we create space to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Epictetus described this mastery over emotions as apatheia, a state of tranquility that arises when we acknowledge our emotions without letting them disrupt our inner peace. Imagine your emotions as waves on the surface of a calm ocean. While the waves may rise and fall, the ocean beneath remains vast and steady. Stoicism encourages us to find this depth within ourselves, recognizing that our true nature is not tied to fleeting emotional waves. By establishing boundaries for our feelings, we cultivate a balanced perspective that helps us navigate life's storms with steadiness and composure. Practice emotional boundaries, viewing emotions as building blocks. One way to visualize emotional limits is to think of your feelings as colorful building blocks. Each emotion represents a block: anger, sadness, joy, frustration, that stacks higher and higher. If we allow these blocks to pile up unchecked, they eventually topple over, leaving us overwhelmed. Stoicism encourages us to manage these emotional blocks by being mindful of how high they're stacking. By stepping back to reassess when we sense emotions building, we prevent our responses from becoming overly reactive or impulsive. A practical Stoic technique for managing emotions is called negative visualization. This involves mentally preparing for potential losses or difficulties, which helps us respond more calmly when faced with actual challenges. Imagine you are preparing yourself for a situation that may bring disappointment or frustration, such as an argument with a friend or a setback at work. By contemplating these scenarios, you build resilience and are less likely to be caught off guard by intense emotions. This exercise helps establish emotional boundaries, so when challenging moments arise, you can approach them with a balanced, grounded mind. Cultivate emotional resilience through mindfulness. Stoicism also emphasizes the power of mindful observation. When emotions begin to rise, try to observe them from a distance, as if you were watching a character in a play. This perspective allows you to witness the emotion without being consumed by it. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And does reacting immediately serve my values? By questioning your emotions in this way, you gain the power to choose responses aligned with your principles, fostering resilience rather than impulsiveness. Practicing mindfulness helps you stay anchored, giving you the control to act thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. This kind of resilience is essential in Stoicism, where the focus is not on erasing emotions, but on managing them so they don't interfere with your reason and virtue. Think of yourself as a steady tree in a windy field. The wind, emotions, may sway you, but your roots, values, keep you firmly grounded. Embrace calmness as your natural state. When we establish limits for our emotions, we embrace calmness as our natural state. In Stoicism, this balance is not about becoming indifferent or detached from life. Rather, it's about ensuring that emotions don't control our actions or define our responses. Imagine building a life where even in moments of difficulty, you can maintain your balance, like a tree that stands firm despite the strongest winds. Stoicism suggests that by grounding ourselves in inner peace and setting emotional boundaries, we cultivate the strength to face any situation with composure and dignity. Setting limits on our emotions empowers us to handle life's ups and downs with equanimity. This practice is a cornerstone of Stoic detachment, allowing us to engage with people and situations without being overwhelmed by them. So, as you go through life, remember to observe your emotions as you would passing clouds. Let them come and go naturally, without letting them disrupt the inner calm that Stoicism helps you nurture. Next, we'll explore the role of foresight in detachment, learning to consider the consequences of our choices to align them with a life of purpose and peace. 5. Consider the consequences of distancing. Foresight in the path of detachment. Detachment doesn't only mean taking space in the present moment, but also considering the potential outcomes of our actions. When we choose to distance ourselves from people or situations, it's essential to reflect on what might follow. Stoicism emphasizes the power of foresight, known as prohairesis, the ability to anticipate and plan our reactions to future events based on reason. As Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." By examining our options thoughtfully, we ensure that each step is purposeful, aligning with our inner peace and long-term values. Reflect on the implications of distance. Imagine you're at a crossroads with a friend or colleague, unsure whether to continue the relationship or step away. Have you ever considered how distancing could impact both your life and theirs? Stoicism reminds us that our choices don't happen in a vacuum. Each decision creates ripples that affect our relationships, our mental state, and our future. When contemplating distance, ask yourself, will this separation bring me closer to a life of peace and virtue? Or will it create consequences that could harm my values or well-being? By considering both immediate and future impacts, we align our choices with our best judgment rather than emotional impulse. Distancing from someone might initially feel like a loss, but if it ultimately promotes a more balanced, virtuous life, the Stoic perspective would see it as a wise decision. Use foresight to choose a path aligned with your virtues. Stoicism encourages us to imagine potential outcomes to gauge whether our actions reflect our core values. Visualize two different futures, one where you choose to distance yourself and another where you continue as things are. Which path leads to greater resilience, tranquility, and wisdom? By actively imagining these scenarios, you engage with Stoic principles of rational decision-making and self-awareness. Think of this choice as a path in the woods. You might walk alone for a time if you distance yourself, but this solitude could grant you the clarity and calm that a chaotic relationship could not. On the other hand, continuing along with this person may offer lessons in patience and kindness. By weighing each option, you allow foresight, a core Stoic skill, to guide you toward the life you truly wish to lead. Remember, detachment is a step toward freedom. Making the decision to distance doesn't have to mean separation forever. Stoicism teaches us to detach with wisdom and foresight, not with coldness or indifference. Our aim is to gain freedom, not merely from others, but from the internal pull of dependency. When you approach detachment with an eye on long-term well-being, you'll find yourself choosing connections and situations that uplift rather than deplete your inner resources. Next, we'll consider the people who bring light into our lives, the philosophical friends who provide guidance and support in challenging times. 6. Seek support from trusted companions. Embracing the value of Stoic friendship. Stoicism teaches that while inner strength is vital, human beings are social by nature. We are not meant to face every challenge alone. A key element of healthy detachment involves seeking counsel from trusted individuals who embody wisdom and virtue. These philosophical friends, as Seneca called them, offer perspectives that help us navigate the complexities of life with calm and clarity. By seeking the support of a wise companion, we strengthen both our social bonds and our inner resilience. Recognize the role of a philosophical friend. Do you have someone in your life who consistently brings you back to center, even in turbulent times? Stoicism acknowledges the importance of such individuals. Seneca believed that a true friend is like a mirror, reflecting our thoughts, fears, and strengths back to us with honesty and compassion. Imagine the value of having someone who can listen without judgment and help you see situations from a higher perspective. Are you leaning into the wisdom they provide? Reflect on Seneca's words. The greatest blessing that can be bestowed upon a man, the next to that of a sound judgment and a modest temper, is that of a friendly acquaintance, a man he may consult just as he would a mirror. When you share your thoughts with someone you trust, you open yourself to insights that you may not see on your own. This exchange is not only a release of emotional weight, but an opportunity to view your situation through the eyes of someone who genuinely cares for your growth. Share your burden without fear. Stoicism may emphasize self-discipline, but it does not advocate for isolation. The Stoic philosophers knew that seeking wise counsel is a strength, not a weakness. When we share our struggles with someone we trust, we don't transfer the weight of our burdens to them, but instead lighten our load through shared understanding. Have you ever felt a sense of relief after talking with a friend about something that troubled you? Stoicism encourages us to cultivate these connections, knowing that wisdom is often born in conversation. Remember that this step isn't about dependence. Instead, it's a recognition that life's journey is shared. Our friends provide a safe space for honest reflection, helping us maintain a stoic balance as we work toward detachment. By discussing your thoughts and emotions with a philosophical friend, you nurture resilience in both yourself and your companion. Strengthen your social bonds with Stoic wisdom. Stoicism calls us to seek friends who inspire us to become better, more virtuous versions of ourselves. When you surround yourself with people who embody wisdom, patience, and kindness, their influence gradually becomes part of your own character. Are your friendships nurturing these qualities in you? In Stoic terms, true friendship is mutually beneficial, a dynamic of shared growth that fosters both resilience and clarity. In the company of a trusted friend, the path of detachment becomes less daunting. You are not alone in your journey toward peace and wisdom. Instead, you're supported by someone who understands your values and helps you live them out more fully. And when you offer the same wisdom and support to them, you become, in turn, a philosophical friend, fulfilling the Stoic ideal of companionship rooted in virtue. Next, we move to our final step, focusing on what you truly need. By centering on your inner values, you'll find that detachment becomes a natural extension of a life aligned with Stoic principles. 7. Focus on what you truly need. Embracing self-sufficiency in a Stoic life. At the heart of Stoic detachment is the recognition of our true needs. Once we understand what truly matters to our well-being, detachment becomes a natural choice rather than a forced action. Stoicism teaches that our deepest needs aren't material or superficial. They're rooted in values like wisdom, integrity, and inner peace. As Epictetus famously said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Differentiate between needs and desires. What do you genuinely need to feel whole and content? Many of our attachments stem from a misconception that others can fulfill our deepest needs. However, Stoicism guides us to focus inward, recognizing that true contentment comes from self-mastery and virtue, not from external sources. Do your attachments arise from genuine needs, or are they fleeting desires that only temporarily fill a void? Desires often create dependencies. The more we attach ourselves to external people and outcomes, the further we stray from our own foundation. Stoic wisdom reminds us that by centering on inner needs, we gain independence from external influences. When you feel the pull of attachment, ask yourself, is this something I truly need, or is it a fleeting desire? This question becomes a guide, helping you align your life with what truly nourishes your mind and spirit. Embrace self-sufficiency as a source of strength. True detachment lies in self-sufficiency, the Stoic ideal of relying on our inner virtues rather than external circumstances. By cultivating traits like resilience, patience, and wisdom, we create a stable foundation that doesn't waver with life's inevitable changes. Imagine building a life where no matter the storms outside, you remain steady, like a tree with deep roots. Think of your needs as the soil from which your character grows. Stoicism teaches that by focusing on virtues, courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance, you create an inner sanctuary that remains unaffected by the ups and downs of life. Ask yourself, am I nurturing the qualities that bring true fulfillment? When we align ourselves with what we truly need, we no longer feel bound by people or situations that don't serve our higher purpose. Reclaim inner freedom through detachment. Focusing on our true needs grants us the freedom to let go of dependencies. This doesn't mean withdrawing from others or avoiding relationships. Rather, it means choosing connections that align with our values and allow us to grow. Stoicism teaches that by cultivating inner peace and self-sufficiency, we gain the courage to release attachments that bring more chaos than clarity. Ask yourself, are my needs being met by this relationship or situation? Or am I clinging to it out of habit or fear of emptiness? When we focus on what we truly need for fulfillment, qualities like integrity, wisdom, and resilience, we build an unshakable foundation. This foundation allows us to detach gracefully, without resentment or regret, recognizing that our peace does not depend on anyone or anything outside ourselves. In this state, we move through life with clarity, aligning our actions with virtue rather than the fleeting demands of our emotions or desires. Build a life aligned with Stoic values. In the end, detachment is not about isolation, but about living a life aligned with Stoic values. When we know what we need and commit to cultivating these needs within ourselves, detachment becomes a natural extension of a life lived well. Stoicism invites us to a deeper awareness of our values, encouraging us to make choices based on long-term well-being rather than short-lived comforts. This approach frees us to live fully without being pulled in countless directions by our attachments. By embracing Stoic self-sufficiency, you'll discover that detachment isn't an end, but a means to reclaim your inner freedom. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Choose thoughts that align with your needs, fostering peace and resilience in a world that often tries to pull us away from our center. Detachment, as the Stoics teach, is not a withdrawal from life, but a commitment to inner peace. Each step in this journey, from recognizing true needs, creating quiet space, managing emotions, and seeking wisdom from trusted friends, guides us to engage with the world more purposefully, with an inner calm that no external storm can shake. This practice of Stoic detachment is a path to lasting freedom, resilience, and fulfillment. As you move forward, remember that this journey is ongoing. Life will continuously challenge your resolve, but each moment provides an opportunity to align more deeply with your values and virtues. If you found these insights valuable, consider sharing your thoughts with us in the comments. Engage with others who, like you, are seeking a life of wisdom and peace. And if this journey towards Stoic detachment resonates with you, remember to like, subscribe, and share this content. Thank you for joining us on this path, and may your journey bring you clarity, strength, and serenity.